Hello, this is Suzann from Achievement for All. Today I'd like to talk through something that we see quite commonly in post-16 GCSE resit students, and I think it's going to be something that we may see in many students once they return to school, whenever that may be post-COVID. I'd like us to look at the Kubler-Ross model and the stages of grief. As we know, the Kubler-Ross model is all about stages of grief, and they tend to be quite linear. We start off with shock and denial, and then move into anger, then bargaining, depression, and eventually, once coming out of there, we move into acceptance and start to let go. Students in post-16 also go through a very similar stage once they've got their GCSE results. Regardless of what they thought they would get, opening that piece of paper still results in shock and denial. They then move into anger, which is sometimes it's down to, it's the teaching that I had. I was only a couple of marks away from a 4. These are statements that many GCSE resit students will have heard, teachers will have heard many times. This year it's going to be a little bit different, because that anger could be created by something else, which is down to, well, you know, my teacher didn't like me. So this time they've actually got somewhere else to lay the blame, whereas before it's been based on their own progress by sitting the exam. So that denial stage, I wonder if we're actually going to be in for a bit longer this year, and how do we actually get ourselves out of it? If we look at it for students who are moving from year 11 into year 12 or year 6 into year 7, it was a real shock, this lockdown. It just basically happened to them. One day they were going to school, the next day they actually weren't. And so they actually finished a stage of their education without being able to say goodbye to it. So again, they will have been going through some of this process. They've left friends behind, they may have left teachers that they're very fond of behind without actually being able to say goodbye. And they haven't been prepared in the normal transitioning procedures that they have been. Because even if we go back to school, can we have the days in what they would normally have? Because social distancing is still going to be in place. As I said, for post-16 students, they haven't had the chance to resit their English or maths, and personally I've had a number of students who, although dreading the exams, get extremely anxious about the exams, have found now they can't sit them, and many are now actually here. And I've had students say to me they have been in tears because they haven't had the chance to show what they thought they could actually do this year, even though they didn't want to sit the exam in the first place. And they haven't had any control now of how they've actually got their result. So getting to here this year is going to be even harder than it has been in previous years. Now, I like this from Dr. Evelyn de Villiers, who's a therapist in the United States, because as I said, we normally see the grief cycle as something really linear. What we've got here is to actually show it isn't. And for lots of our students, they will be in this squiggly stage for a very long time. They will go through fear, denial, depression, then they'll go through anger, then they may go back to fear again, and they're all over the place until they actually get to healing. So how do we help them get to that healing stage? At Achievement for All, we work with emotion coaching, and we train schools in that, and I found that really useful as a teacher. And part of that process is not to deny the emotion that students are actually going in at that stage, and actually validating it. I found after the November resit, students who hadn't passed again to actually sit with them and go, yeah, you're absolutely perfectly right to be upset. Feel upset at the moment. It's okay to be angry at the moment. We actually got through those emotions far quicker, and students actually got back on and got back into the course far quicker than I've seen them do in the past. And that was just simply by validating and labelling the emotions they were feeling. Too often we go in with, it'll be okay, you're going to resit in the summer, we'll have sorted it all out by then. And we don't allow them to feel the upset that they're feeling right now. And I think that's something that we can really take on board when students come back, whether it be in June, July or September. Really interested to hear what you think. Thank you for listening.